Hey, how are you? Good morning. My name is Tammy Marshall, and I'm the creator of the Unemotional Eater Protocol. And I want to talk about free food. Everybody likes free food, right? Do you really? And so it's so funny. It's how do we learn this information? And then the other part is we never go back and challenge it. And so when I talk about free food, everybody's always like, yeah, free food. And you think about where is it that you're learning information, right? Sorry, I stepped on the thing. Where are we learning information, right? When we're from 0 to 7 years old, we don't have the ability to discern what we're hearing. Like, we take everything in as fact. And so we don't, right? We have this childlike, we just have this childlike faith. We just take everything as fact. We don't question it. We don't sort it out. Like, we don't have that ability at that age. For the most part, like, I think some kids have to grow up a whole lot faster. But so when you think about free food, right? I grew up in a military family. There wasn't a lot of extra money. So, my dad was working 2 jobs. My mom was doing everything she could to pinch every penny. So if they had free food for kids or, free food, like, you were going after that because, we needed every little extra that we could. So then you fast forward and you're an adult and you go to a business event or somewhere where they're handing out free food, you're still responding to that very, concept like you were when you were 5. And, free food like has this excitement to it, it has this buzz energy to it. And as I say that, like, that is created within me. It is not created outside of me. If they were saying, they had if they had said they were having free liver, it would not be a response. Now, one of my friends would be all about that. But me, if they said, hey, we have free liver today, I'd be going, that is awesome. You enjoy that. That would have zero impact on me whatsoever. And probably most of you. I know there's people out there who enjoy liver. I'm not one of them. And I just give you that idea because if they were calling it anything else, would you respond differently? And it is about understanding what's driving the bus, and we never go back and question it. We never go back and question our subconscious, right? Because it's hard to get those things, to get them to move to the top to where we can see them and then be able to have tools to be able to move them. Sometimes it's purely logical, right? It comes to the surface and you go, that no longer applies in my life, and you can move on. But sometimes that tape, that subconscious drive is so deep within us that even when we logically don't want to, it still drives the bus because it's like we've done this so many times that even if we're trying to pull the steering wheel in the opposite direction, like, we just keep following the pattern because it always goes back to a safety issue. And like, with the free food, like, that can easily be a safety issue. I grew up in my dad came out of real poverty. My mother came out of struggle, right? Because you think about, they were born in the 40s in right after wartime. And so, those were hard times. And then, we're military, so like there's no racking it in over here. And so that stuff can be so in our hearts that we can fall into the trap even though we logically know different because it is ingrained in the safety mechanism. And safety isn't always logical, right? Like, I got plenty of food. Feeding myself is not a problem. And so when you look at it now, it doesn't make sense why that would be a safety issue. But if that is instilled in you when you were in that 0 to 7 range before you can make any kind of cognitive decisions about it, then of course it's going to keep running. And so I tell you all that because I don't, I'm in all these food groups on Facebook, and I see that come up. I see that come up with my own clients. I just came from a conference, and there's free food, right? It's part of the package was that, lunch is included. And so being really aware of what that triggers in you and what your beliefs are about that, how you show up with that. Are you able to show up the way you want to, even when that message is playing in the background? And, the tools that I use are purely to push those beliefs out of the subconscious up to the conscious so we can deal with them, but also so that you can actually disrupt the pattern, right? We talk a lot about disruptive technology today. Apple was disruptive technology. Going to the moon is disruptive. Amazon, Google, all these things are like disruptive technologies. And the same is true in our patterning within our own body, right? We have to disrupt the patterning in our mind so that we can act differently. It's Paul's great question. Why do I do what I don't want to do? And it's because that patterning is there, and we've not understood the mechanisms to use in order to disrupt them. We've all tried to do mind over matter, and that's like willpower. That's like using muscle, and muscle will get you so far, but there's a place where muscle just doesn't work because it's just exhausted. And so, that's why I do what I do. It's why I teach what I teach, to help raise your awareness, give you new information, but also in equipping you in order to make the shift to disrupt your own patterns. To me, that's really the power. My power is when I teach you how to disrupt your own patterns so that you have power over your own mind, you have power over your own behavior, you have power over your own results. Because that's kind of how the pattern works, right? I have a belief, it creates an emotion, that emotion creates a response, and then we have an outcome. And so you want to be able to disrupt those. That was a lot of information. So we are moving in on the end of the year like so fast. I think we're down to like 50 days, which is insane. Probably less than that. I didn't look before I said that. And I know some of you have questions. You have questions about, am I an emotional eater? You have questions when I talk about disrupting, processes. You have questions about, a certain diet you're wanting to do, or why this doesn't work, or, you have 1,000 questions. And so till the end of the year, I am doing a free Ask Your Question, right? I know a lot of folks don't want to ask it on Facebook. I don't want to ask my questions either because I don't want to look stupid, or I don't want to put myself out there. I just don't want to be that vulnerable. And so I'm just going to schedule time that you can come and just ask your question. So I'm going to put the link below so that you can schedule time to just it is my gift until the end of the year. And let's just have a conversation. So I would love to know if that was helpful, or how you see free food, or if that's a trigger for you. I would be curious about that if you want to put comments below. I will tell you to go love on somebody, because I always tell you to go love on somebody. It's a big, crazy world out there. It's gotten cold here. I know it's cold in a lot of areas, and there's folks who are just suffering. And so, an act of kindness, a smile, a thank you, just a warm cup of coffee, just loving on people, letting people know that there's love and that there is light still in the world. And I'd also tell you, right, love on you. So we always have a tendency to go love on other people sometimes when we get outside of ourselves, but the real person in this equation to love is ourselves, because a lot of times we're eating like we're eating, we're carrying extra weight because we don't love us. Our inside critical voice sounds like a middle school mean girl, and it wasn't helpful then, and it ain't helpful now. So go love on you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Blessings.